when he says you'll hopefully be able to get the war over without them, can you? And PM Starmer, if I may, this domestic question. Overnight you suffered a disastrous election loss in Caerphilly, a seat that's been a Labour-held seat for over a century. Was it a gut punch for you? And if you can't turn this around in the Senate elections next May, will you have to go? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Beth. Let me start with the question of Ukraine, because it is really important that we address the support that we're all able to put in, particularly as we go into the winter. And here we have the Coalition of the Willing today, you had the EU yesterday, but we are all working with President Trump, and therefore we're all working as one wider coalition here in relation to the support we need to put in for Ukraine. On missiles, we've put in more missiles from the UK in recent days and weeks, and pushing the case for long range. It is really important that we do have long range, and those discussions are ongoing. And of course the protection of energy, because Putin is attacking the energy in Ukraine, and that needs protection. We've had discussion today about how we can stop those attacks and how we can better protect those energy suppliers. On the question of the US, what's happened this week is really significant. I think on the sanctions package and the bearing down on oil and gas, this week has been a very significant week because we went early with the measures that we, the UK, took. President Trump came in with really important measures that have had a real impact. And then, of course, the EU followed in with a further package of sanctions this week as well. And I think if I was to pick out one thing this week that was of most significant, it would be the combined impact of those packages. Not only because of the impact they have on the Russian economy and the pressure that they put on, but also because they demonstrate the point that whether it's the Coalition of the Willing, the EU or the US, we are all coordinating clearly in our efforts to support Ukraine and effectively doing so. The other thing I would point to is the progress made on Russian assets. Yesterday the EU took a very important step forward and there was absolute clarity in this afternoon's meeting that we need to see that progress come to fruition within a short timetable because that would be a really material further support that we can put in for Ukraine. So when we said that the ambition really this week, if you like, is to take Russian oil and gas off the global market, we've taken a significant step forward. I would also add that the measures or the movement in position by India and China in relation to Russian energy and oil in particular are also significant. I think what you'll detect behind that is the sort of coordination and discussions that are going on, have been going on today, are going on between us pretty well all of the time, and having a very significant impact on Russia, because we must put Ukraine in the strongest position. This is going to be a hard winter, of course, particularly when it comes to protecting energy, and it is very important that whilst, of course, we want to get to a ceasefire and a lasting peace, we will, in my view, only get there if we put Ukraine in the strongest possible position, and we must never lose sight of that aspect of it. I mean, I'm really pleased to see the Coalition of the Willing so determined and united on this. Of course, to some extent, the coalition was set up to answer the question, what about security guarantees? But to see this wider coalition now working in a coordinated way, I think it really reinforces why the Coalition of the Willing is so important. In relation to the by-election, look, I'm deeply disappointed by the results. I'm not going to suggest otherwise. I spoke to the First Minister this morning, and clearly we need to reflect and regroup and double down on the delivery in Wales, and we clearly need to do much more. Volodymyr, can I pass over to you on the first issue?
Thank you very much for the question. So, first of all, we're not finding and we're not searching the way how to stop Putin and how to finish this war without the United States. So our plan is to make strong steps together. That is the plan, by the way, of Putin. He wants to divide us. Yeah. make us weaker. And that's why I think that we have to do everything together. First, of course, pressure on Putin, but really practically. First, sanctions, and you see 19th package and oil pressure from the United States. And I think this is a very strong step. The second point is long-range pressure between us. From the very beginning, it was about our drones, our long range. Then, God bless, we had such partners like UK and France, and the partners gave us Storm Shadows and Scalps. Then, only after that, United States joined us, and we began to use ATACMS. Not big number, but in any way, it's about together. Yes, and now we count on some more strong instruments, but we will see. Yes, then about air defense. Again, it's about together decisions. We really don't have something which can destroy ballistic. That's why Americans helped us, but also Europeans, because firstly, Europe delivered Patriot systems, but United States, they did it together because United States gave licenses for this. Yes, but I hope that we will in any way we will find a way how to produce our own systems. We have to do it, and I think this is the most important thing, that politically it's very important to go together. That's what about coalition are willing, and the result at the end will be security guarantees. And again, with the security guarantees, we need to have United States. This is very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Volodymyr, I'm going to pass over to you to call your question, please.
Thank you so much.
Highly prepared.
Валерія Пашко, доброго дня, Суспільне.
Public Broadcaster of Ukraine. I have one question for all. It's on reparation loans. So, Mr. President, you were quite optimistic about the political decisions yesterday, but it seems not to have happened yet. What's your view on that? Is it disappointing now for you? And Prime Minister Frederiksen, Prime Minister Schoof, why the Council conclusions were changed yesterday? Like the leaders didn't give the green light to the Commission to develop the legal framework for these reparation loans. What would the discussion look like yesterday? And Prime Minister Starmer, for you, is the EU could join to share this financial burden, because the EU aims to bring on board all the G7 countries? Thanks.
Yeah, I will begin. Thank you. So I think that the decision with Russian frozen assets is crucial for us, and but I think that there are 3 steps in this question with frozen assets. The first one is political decision, then practical decision, and then implementation. And I think that yesterday we've got political decision. That's why I think this is positive signal. Then practical decision. We hope that we can get it to the end of this year. And only after that, implementation. So that's, God bless, we can have at the very beginning of the year. But we will see. Thank you.
Mette probably makes sense.
Yes, let me be very clear. I think the idea of a so-called reparation loan is good. I haven't seen any alternative. And the idea of letting Russia pay for the damages they have done in Ukraine is the only way forward. Of course, there are some technical questions that has to be answered. There are a lot of details that we have to work on. But first and foremost, this is a political decision and a political choice. I support the idea totally, and I think we have to work in a way that we have a solution before Christmas Eve, so we are able to ensure that we can finance Ukraine for the next years. I know some colleagues find this way forward more difficult than I do. And we have to solve the problems, but I also have to say, what is the alternative? The alternative is not to let Russia win this war, and the alternative is not to ask all the Europeans to pay instead of Russia. So we need to solve the technical issues. I am sure that we will be able to do that, and then we will hopefully, I will work for that, have a decision before Christmas Eve.
Dick, did you want to?
Yeah, thank you. And of course, I fully agree with Mette. But let me just add a few points. The political decision yesterday was made, and that's very important, that we are going to financially support Ukraine in 26 and 27. And that's an important decision we made yesterday. It's important for Ukraine, it's important for the European Union, it's important for all our partners. Then the second issue is that we talked about, and I think this is an important issue. Of course, you can say it's the technical or financial, but there are risks, and we talk about mutualization of risks. And I heard a lot of countries and leaders yesterday say that they want a guarantee. And that's important because we have to share the risk, and it cannot be only put only on Belgium. And then, third of all, I hope, just as Mette said, that we come to an agreement on the technical workout of the reparation loan, because financially it's going to be important, but also politically it's important to hurt Russia, and therefore I'm much in favor. Thank you.
Just linking the two, if I may. Firstly, the political decision that was made yesterday by the EU is really significant, and we shouldn't lose that. The question of the Russian assets has always been complicated and difficult, and there's no pretending otherwise, and it is really important that the detail is worked through. I think Mette is right to say putting a timetable around that makes complete sense, but I wouldn't underestimate the significance of the move that was made yesterday, and a very high level of agreement today that we need to make progress on that. In relation to your broader point about the UK and the EU in particular, yes, we are coordinating a lot of what we do, and that is a very good thing. It's a very good thing in the field of Ukraine. We are doing it much more broadly on defence and security and trade and the economy, actually. That reflects a number of things. Firstly, our shared and long-held belief that we are most effective in our support for Ukraine when we act as a group of countries, whether that's the EU and the UK working together, as we have done on most of the sanction packages. It's no accident that we act at the same time, or the wider group of the coalition of the willing. And just to emphasise something that Volodymyr said, it was welcome to have the new Prime Minister of Japan on the call today. I think it was her first international engagement, and she made a statement of principle about where she stands, and it was a very strong statement to the coalition of the willing. The fact that she chose this forum as her first international contribution and was so clear and powerful in her words, I think emphasises that coalition and the ability to bring together so many countries here is really important. So the first reason the UK and the EU are working well together is because of that most effective rule. The second is, since the EU-UK reset, I am proud and pleased to say we are coordinating much more across a wider range of issues. We live in a world where there are many, many challenges, many opportunities, and my strong view is that when the UK and the EU are able to work together, as we've shown we are able to, we're better able to meet those challenges. And of course, having Mark here heading up NATO gives you a sense of the depth of the group of countries now working together really pretty effectively in relation to our defence of Ukraine. Thank you very much. Mark, I'm going to ask you to call your